en est simple, c'est en raison de sa nature universelle. Les réseaux sociaux ne connaissent pas de censure. Les réseaux sociaux ne connaissent pas de limitation, d'entrave des autorités, quelle que soit leur nature. Les réseaux sociaux me donnent ce soir l'opportunité de m'adresser au peuple camerounais, où qu'il se trouve, dès lors qu'ils sont connectés sur votre chaîne. J'ai le plaisir et l'honneur de m'adresser à vous. C'est vraiment le caractère universel, transversal, sans limite, sans barrière, moment de vérité de cet instrument. C'est pour ça que je l'ai choisi.
Alors, tout le monde se pose la même question, les internautes en ligne, les commentaires, dans la section de commentaires, la question qui revient le plus, pourquoi avoir démissionné et annoncé votre candidature à la présidence de la République maintenant?
Très bien, votre question est vraiment pertinente. Pourquoi est-ce que j'ai posé ma démission? Il n'échappe à personne aujourd'hui que le peuple camerounais, dans son immense majorité, éprouve des difficultés à faire joindre les deux bouts. Les Camerounais sont habités par la peur, l'angoisse, l'incertitude de l'avenir. Et cela s'est manifesté tout récemment avec d'abord 3 évêques fils du septentrion, qui, à l'écoute de nos populations, ont exprimé également leur ras-le-bol et ont voulu le changement. Moi, en tant qu'homme politique, interpellé par cet appel d'angoisse, d'inquiétude du peuple camerounais du nord au sud, de l'est à l'ouest, ma responsabilité, ma mission, c'est naturellement de répondre présent à cet appel de détresse. L'appel au changement du peuple camerounais ne concerne pas seulement la classe politique. C'est d'abord la nation tout entière qui doit se mobiliser pour construire ce changement voulu par l'immense majorité du peuple camerounais. La classe politique intervient, en particulier les dirigeants de partis politiques interviennent, dès lors que la Constitution stipule que les partis politiques participent au concours du suffrage universel. C'est à ce titre donc participe à l'expression du suffrage universel. C'est à ce titre donc, en tant que dirigeant politique, je me suis senti interpellé et j'ai donc décidé de répondre présent à cette sollicitation de nos compatriotes du nord au sud, de l'est à l'ouest.
Alors, je rappelle que nous sommes en live sur Facebook et sur TikTok. La section de commentaires est ouverte aux questions et les internautes ont l'opportunité d'interagir avec vous directement,
avec
puisque
plaisir.
Nous allons relever les questions ici et puis on va vous poser ces questions. Et je rappelle aussi que votre clip de campagne pour la candidature à la présidence est déjà disponible sur ma chaîne YouTube et sur la page Facebook Ben Omar TV. Alors, des internautes certains disent que vous critiquez aujourd'hui le système que vous avez tant soutenu. Que leur répondiez-vous?
Quelle réponse à ces internautes qui pensent que... Je voudrais que vous sachiez une chose. Je suis président d'un parti politique. Quand on est président d'un parti politique, on a des hommes et des femmes qui investissent leur espoir sur vous, qui investissent leur espoir sur vous, et dont vous avez la responsabilité de conduire vers un rivage qu'ensemble vous avez choisi. Mais lorsque, dans l'exercice de vos fonctions, vous vous apercevez que, alors que ce peuple dont vous êtes les dirigeants réclame à corps et à cri le changement, et que les actes que vous posez au gouvernement au quotidien ne répondent pas à leurs aspirations, vous n'avez pas de choix que d'opérer un choix. Soit vous obéissez à vos responsabilités gouvernementales et dans ce cas, vous vous aliénez le peuple, ou alors vous choisissez donc d'être à l'écoute du peuple et dans ce cas, vous vous aliénez le gouvernement. Nous avons opéré un choix parce que nous avons estimé que dans cet espace, à ce moment précis où nous devons opérer donc ce choix, nous avons compris donc notre responsabilité, c'est donc de choisir de rester avec le peuple. Parce que, comme on a l'habitude de dire, ce choix, il est cornélien. Soit vous choisissez le gouvernement et vous abandonnez le peuple, vous l'aurez trahi, soit vous choisissez le peuple et puis vous aurez donc abandonné le gouvernement. J'ai toujours dit une chose, aujourd'hui je suis en immersion avec le peuple, c'est tous les jours que je partage la vie du peuple. Mon choix était donc vite fait. J'ai choisi donc d'être aux côtés du peuple et de participer de manière active au changement tel qu'il l'a exprimé.
Alors, nous relevons la première question d'un internaute ici. Il dit, Monsieur Tchiroma, vous évoquez un impératif moral qui vous a poussé à quitter le gouvernement. Pourriez-vous préciser quelle injustice structurelle, qu'elle soit territoriale, sociale ou économique, et quelles actions concrètes envisagez-vous pour remédier si vous êtes appelé à exercer ces responsabilités?
Vous savez, lorsqu'on est en immersion avec le peuple, on est en contact avec le peuple. Les difficultés auxquelles ce peuple est rencontré, vous les vivez au quotidien. Vous avez posé la question précise de savoir de quoi il s'agirait éventuellement. Les difficultés sont multiples. Elles sont multiples et c'est difficile naturellement de les énumérer, de les énoncer. Et c'est pour cette raison que lorsque vous me posez la question de savoir qu'est-ce que j'entends faire, naturellement, j'entends, relevant de ma compétence, de poser tous les actes qui me permettent donc de régler les difficultés auxquelles les Camerounais sont confrontés.
Alors, après 20 ans de collaboration avec le président Paul Biya, vous affirmez aujourd'hui vouloir opérer une rupture. En quoi votre vision actuelle pour le Cameroun se distingue-t-elle véritablement de l'héritage politique que vous avez contribué à apporter durant ces 20 années?
Écoutez, votre question est pertinente. Lorsqu'on accepte d'être, alors que vous n'êtes pas du parti politique au pouvoir, lorsque vous acceptez de partager la responsabilité gouvernementale d'un autre parti politique, évidemment, il est question pour vous de mettre les objectifs poursuivis par votre parti politique et puis de vous aligner aux objectifs prescrits par le parti au pouvoir. Mais à partir du moment où vous vous rendez compte, vous vous apercevez que ce que vous êtes en train de faire n'est pas conforme avec les aspirations de vos militants, de vos sympathisants, vous n'avez pas de choix que de marquer un temps d'arrêt. Et puis, de rebrousser chemin pour aligner les actes que vous avez à poser aux attentes de vos militants et sympathisants.
Alors, beaucoup de jeunes vous regardent et beaucoup de jeunes se posent la même question. Et beaucoup de jeunes vous regardent avec méfiance. Comment comptez-vous regagner leur confiance?
Regagner la confiance des jeunes, c'est d'abord leur montrer que je suis en immersion avec les jeunes. Les jeunes aujourd'hui sont confrontés à une difficulté énorme, la difficulté du chômage. Beaucoup de jeunes aujourd'hui sont détenteurs de parchemins universitaires, malheureusement, qui ne leur ouvrent pas les portes de l'emploi. Cela simplement parce qu'ils n'ont pas de métier. Ils n'ont pas de métier parce qu'ils ne sont pas formés. Notre responsabilité consiste donc à privilégier la formation professionnelle par rapport à l'enseignement général. L'enseignement général a déjà donné tout ce qu'il peut donner. Mais il se trouve que par centaines de milliers, nous avons des jeunes aujourd'hui qui ne travaillent pas et qui n'aspirent qu'à travailler. Alors, nous avons réussi aujourd'hui à amener le mérite de la formation professionnelle, à inviter les uns et les autres à s'inscrire massivement dans les centres de formation professionnelle afin d'acquérir les métiers qui leur ouvriront les portes de l'emploi.
D'accord. Avez-vous un message particulier pour cette jeunesse qui n'a jamais voté, qui doute même déjà et qui galère? Vous avez parlé de formation professionnelle et ces jeunes qui sont déjà détenteurs de diplômes, qu'en est-il de leur cas, qui sont déjà formés, qui ont un diplôme académique?
D'abord, à tous ces jeunes-là, je leur dis ce que tous nous connaissons. Il se dit que tout ce qui se fait pour vous sans vous, se fait contre vous. Les jeunes doivent s'impliquer, les jeunes doivent s'orienter aujourd'hui vers les formations professionnelles qui leur ouvrent les portes de l'emploi. Indispensable. Ce que nous faisons aujourd'hui pour cette jeunesse-là, c'est d'abord réhabiliter, valoriser la formation professionnelle. Je voudrais rappeler que de l'indépendance jusqu'à date, le gouvernement n'a pas construit un seul centre de formation professionnelle digne de ça. Et c'est donc pour cette raison que nous avons pris des mesures conformément aux prescriptions du gouvernement de valoriser la formation professionnelle et de faire en sorte que la formation professionnelle redevienne un ordre d'enseignement au même titre que les autres ordres de formation. Donc, la formation professionnelle est le moyen le plus efficace pour permettre à la jeunesse de pouvoir acquérir un métier qui leur permettra de s'installer soit en auto-emploi ou alors parce qu'ils sont formés dans un métier pour lequel le secteur de production déficitaire en aura besoin.
Nous avons vu le clip de campagne de votre candidature et vous avez parlé de redonner le pouvoir au peuple. Quand vous dites que vous voulez redonner le pouvoir au peuple, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire concrètement, Monsieur le Président?
Ça veut simplement dire une chose. Quelle que soit la décision, quelle que soit son importance, dès lors que l'objectif poursuivi, c'est le confort, le bien-être du peuple, nous nous engageons donc à associer le peuple, à prendre part effectivement à toutes les décisions que nous prendrons, de telle façon que le peuple se sente concerné par la décision que nous avons prise et participer à sa mise en œuvre.
Alors, comme c'est un moment d'interaction avec vous, en direct, avec les jeunes qui nous regardent, il y a une question qui revient aussi. Si vous êtes candidat à la présidentielle, quelles seraient vos 3 mesures phares pour transformer le quotidien des Camerounais dès que vous serez au poste?
Dès qu'on arrive au gouvernement, la première responsabilité, c'est celle d'abord de lutter contre les inégalités et les injustices. Il y a beaucoup de Camerounais qui sont frustrés, marginalisés, ostracisés. Aujourd'hui, beaucoup de Camerounais n'arrivent pas à passer de concours parce que malheureusement aujourd'hui dans notre pays, il n'y a pas de concours qui n'a pas d'exigence en matière de corruption. Donc, nous lutterons, nous prendrons toutes les mesures, toutes les dispositions pour que les concours, quand ils sont ouverts, qu'ils soient accessibles à tout le monde. Ça, donc, c'est la première mesure. La deuxième mesure, c'est de faire en sorte que le coût de la formation professionnelle, aujourd'hui qui est prohibitif, le coût de la formation professionnelle doit être ramené au prorata du pouvoir d'achat des parents, ce qui fait donc que nous éliminerons la discrimination par l'argent. C'est-à-dire, aujourd'hui, par exemple, pour aller dans nos universités, quelle que soit la faculté, vous payez 50 000 francs. Mais dans les écoles de formation professionnelle, il y a des formations qui coûtent 200, 300, 400, 500 000, voire davantage. Démocratiser la formation professionnelle consiste simplement à prendre des mesures qui ramènent donc le coût de la formation professionnelle au même niveau que celui que l'on paye lorsqu'on entre dans les facultés.
Alors, pourquoi croire en vous, pas à un autre opposant? Concrète, pourquoi?
Je ne suis, écoutez, je ne suis pas, comment dirais-je ça? Je ne suis pas un opposant qui abandonne les raisons pour lesquelles le parti auquel il adhère fixe. La question que vous posez, savoir, quelle était la question?
Quelle est la différence entre vous et un autre opposant? Pourquoi les jeunes ou les Camerounais devrait vous faire confiance, croire en vous, pas un autre?
Écoutez, la réponse est simple. La réponse est simple. C'est que
Alors, on a Stitch, connexion.
attendez, s'il n'a pas repris, je n'ai pas bien compris votre question.
Ma question, c'est que pourquoi croire en vous, pas un autre opposant? Quelle est la différence entre vous et d'autres personnes?
Arrêtez, si c'est possible.
Kino. Kino. Hello, everyone. Welcome on board. We just listened to Cameroon's Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Issa Tchiroma, detailing his economic, social, and political program for the year. Apologies for that. Apologies for that technical hiccup, but we thank you so much for being there and staying to know about what is happening in the country's political scene. We can see hundreds of people on our Facebook page, Twitter, and our YouTube pages quite interested about what is happening, and a lot of questions as well coming in. We'll certainly be having reactions from some of our correspondents, if it's possible, and political analysts as to what Issa Tchiroma has got to offer to Cameroonians at this age. After he served the government for more than 20 years, what can he offer? Let's start with the Anglophone crisis. He had a lot to say, and looking at what he is promising that he'll be able to do to solve the Anglophone crisis, he said that a referendum should be given a chance because it's one of the reasons why, it's because of the centralization of power in Cameroon that dialogue has failed. That's why a lot of things are not going on. So he said, I would want to quote him, we will initiate a referendum allowing the Cameroonian people to choose the form of the state that reflects their aspiration. That's not all that he said with regards to the form of the state and the Anglophone crisis. He said, to our Anglophone compatriots, you do not need people to speak for you. You need to be listened to. To hear a minister whose propaganda, so to speak, whose declarations and statements, one of the reasons why we are here, where we are with the Anglophone crisis. His statements fuel the conflict in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. He's one of the ministers alongside members of the government, other ministers in government, that did everything they could at the start of the conflict in 2016 to travelize what was happening in the Northwest and the Southwest regions. And here we are, he's coming after serving with the government for so many years and saying that, oh, I can provide solutions. So what happened that time? What does this tell us about ministers that are within the Biya's government? The latest news is actually that he has officially resigned. He's no longer a minister. He was just speaking to one of our colleagues in his hometown in Garoua in the north region of Cameroon today in an interview where he was able to answer a few questions. But at some point, he wasn't able to say exactly why he is different from other opposition leaders. When it got to that particular question, it was seeming like he was stuck. He couldn't say why people should choose him other than other opposition leaders. So let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section. We are interested to have your ideas, your analyses, your questions, because as we are having this conversation this evening, we're also trying to see how to get our own experts to also join this conversation and talk about what is happening in Cameroon at the moment. So we have so many people commenting, and I would like to read the comments. And Classic Clara says that he is wasting his time. We also have a comment from Clovis who says that it's a setup and a way of Biya's strategy. So do you mean that Biya is planning to run for the presidency? And this is as a strategy for him to gather supporters. That is a scam. So many people don't actually believe that what Issa Tchiroma is saying is actually true, but he's come up with a manifesto and he is promising change. in the socioeconomic sphere in Cameroon, to change the security situation in Cameroon, to provide more jobs. He was Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, and throughout the interview that he just had, he was unable to actually really tell us Cameroonians what he's been able to do concretely to provide jobs to ordinary citizens in Cameroon. And when he was even explaining, we couldn't even hear him to say, these were the things that these are the things that I've been able to achieve when I was Minister of Transport, and when I eventually became the Minister of Communication, because when he became Minister of Communication, so many journalists were arrested, including myself, and some of the journalists are still currently behind bars because, thanks to Issa Tchiroma, he's not telling us what he would do to foster press freedom in Cameroon. He's also talked about the fact he is confirming actually that power belongs to a particular clan in Cameroon, and that it shouldn't be the case. Power should belong to the people, and that it's time for power to return to the population. In his own words, he said that power is finally being returned to the people, and that should be the priority of Cameroonians. What do you think about that? And when you hear power to the people, what do you think about? Is those are the words of our own very own politician, Nijot Frundi, who is now of blessed memory. So I will try to read some comments while we wait to hear from our guests for tonight. Janky is saying that which politician doesn't promise change, Mimi Mefo. And we also have Valentin who says that he is really planning to join Bello Buba. Kamto, okay, that's just a question. So we need to give him everything. What does that really mean? Giving him everything like what? Because how old is Issa Tchiroma Bakari? And if we are looking, or Cameroonians are talking about change this 2025, do we need a leader who is as old as the one that is outgoing? Or do we need some fresh new individuals to come in and deliver the kind of change that Cameroonians need? These are serious political discussions that we should be having as young Cameroonians, as journalists, asking those pertinent questions that can bring about the socio-economic and political change that Cameroon needs at the moment. We are still trying to see how to bring our guest on board, and we'll do everything possible to have him here to have this discussion. If it's not possible, we will come back again just shortly to have the discussion, because it's very important to continue that conversation. But we are also seeing your questions, and we'll get to ask our guests what they think about the questions that you are asking in the comment section. You said there's Amma who says that Amba are waiting for him in the northwest and in the southwest regions. Well, the Amba that has become what it is today, thanks to the statements and the non-reaction from the government, separatists have also turned against their own population. It's become a very difficult situation for citizens in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon, thanks to some of the declarations of ministers like Issa Tchiroma Bakari, thanks to the inability of the government to address the conflict. There's someone who is saying that you are an Amba. Well, I don't know what Amba actually really means. What I know is that tonight we are trying to talk about the situation in Cameroon, and what matters is what kind of change can the people, or do the people really deserve? What kind of change can bring about peace in Cameroon in general, particularly in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon, where we've seen women being attacked by actors from both sides, by both the soldiers and separatist fighters, where we see children unable to go to school for so many years, close to 10 years now and counting. Women, young children living in perpetual fear. We've been seeing lockdowns every Mondays, and even some days when market women are supposed to go and fend for themselves, there are lockdowns. What exactly has the government, where Issa Tchiroma Bakari belonged, what exactly have they been doing to end the conflict in the Anglophone regions and of Cameroon? So we are trying to have our expert to join us on board, a political analyst, and he will certainly be here to. What does he think about Professor Maurice Kamto? That's a good question. What does he think about people like Joshua Osi? What does he think about Akere Muna? We have a lot of opposition leaders in Cameroon, not just Professor Maurice Kamto. What does he think about even women leadership, even though we've not had women coming to the fore to say we want a female leadership, we want to run for the post of president. So, so we will try to get our expert now so that we can continue this conversation and get some of your questions answered. Please try to send some of the questions. We will try as much as we can to respond. And some of the questions that are also directed to me, I'll try to see if I can I'll see if I can respond. I can see Andrea Nine saying that just focus on your studies. Political journalism is not your core. Well, thank you for your comment and thank you for your concern, if you're actually really concerned. But I'm not just studying, but this year is a year that even a trader should be talking about what change we need in Cameroon. Even a bike rider, some of the bike riders are actually graduates from ENAM, from universities in Cameroon, and they should be having the conversation. We have teachers in Cameroon who should be having the conversation to see what kind of change Cameroon really needs. So it's not time to say who should be part of the conversation. It's time to say, what can I do from my own end to bring about the change that I want to see in Cameroon? So no one should be shut down. No one should be silent. No one should be kept aside this discussion, because this is a conversation that has to do with every Cameroonian. And to say political journalism is not my call, well, I should say it's your opinion, and thank you for that. But this is something that we as journalists, these are conversations that we need to have. We need to ask the questions that matter. And we will continue until the elections take place and we see what kind of leadership emerges. And Lemesi is actually saying that this is the time that change must come in Cameroon. Those are that's the kind of discussion and conversation that we need to be having in Cameroon at the moment, instead of trying to shut people down. We also need conversations like how can we move forward? How can we look at the root cause of the Anglophone conflict? I'm seeing Eric also asking what are some of the root causes of the Anglophone crisis? I see Smith saying that good job, we need change in Cameroon. Of course, we need change in Cameroon, and no one can be silent. No one should push you to be silent about the political situation in Cameroon at the moment. I also see a comment from Musa, who says that to bring peace in the Northwest and the Southwest region, I only think of separation, which is a good point. But has the government ever listened? And what kind of government can listen? We already have Fabrice Lena, who is here with us. He is a political analyst, and he's been following the state of affairs in Cameroon at the moment. Fabrice Lena, if you can join us, welcome, and thank you for being part of the conversation tonight. Fabrice Lena, are you there? Okay, so yeah, he
Yes,
is.
Mimi. Hi.
Welcome on board. We need to see your face. It's all
Yes.
work on your end.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Trying to adjust my camera.
Okay. So take your time while people continue to debate in the comment section because it's heated. A lot of people with strong opinions, worried about what could possibly be happening in Cameroon, what could possibly be the way forward, what is the right action to take going forward. I think for those on Facebook, this is the first time that we are having this kind of discussion in a long while. And we have Quetta, who says that we are tired of lies and promises from the French government. Fabrice Lena, are you tired of lies and promises from the Yaoundé regime as well?
Hi, Mimi. Good evening, and good evening to all the listeners and the followers of Mimi Mefo Info. It's a great pleasure to join your platform once more, and I'm glad to see that this new form of conversation is engaging a lot of people, and people are looking up to hearing answers to their worries. People are anxious about the nearest future, the approaching future, what is coming up. So thank you for having me as your guest once more today. We had an interrupted conversation yesterday, and I hope that today we're going to have a flow of conversation to the end. Thank you so much. Good evening. I hope you're good.
I'm good. Thank you for joining us, Fabrice Lena. There's a bit of echo from your end, but I hope that the audio quality will not be affected as a result. But we had a big announcement today. Issa Tchiroma Bakari says that he's no longer part of the BS government as a minister. He is, or he was before, just a few minutes ago, Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, and he had to travel to his hometown in Garoua in the North region to say that I am resigning. But I'm not just resigning, I want to be a candidate. What are your thoughts?
Like I said yesterday, Minister Tchiroma, the politician, the statesman of the northern region, have some cards in his hands, and that's why he's able to do what he's doing. And he understands Cameroon politics so well, playing it for over 3.5 decades as a major frontline actor since 1985, and also coming from the bastion of Cameroon electoral base, the northern regions. We know that in Cameroon, to win elections, you must form an alliance with someone from the north who will be able to have strong representatives from the 3 northern regions. So he is somehow a key actor to the president and the CBDM political party, and defecting now, disassociating himself now, it's a major call for concern for everyone, including myself. I'm keen to see how things are developing, and today I'm also hopeful that his confirmation of the resignation is going to be a new perspective for the opposition, an opportunity for the opposition. I don't want to go into the belief that it's a distraction, because Tchiroma had always been a very, very unpredictable politician in the history of Cameroon politics. Remember, I was trying to give who Tchiroma is throughout Cameroon history yesterday. He started his political career with the UNDP and resigned subsequently, creating the ANDP, with Mustafa resigning subsequently, and then creating his own FNC. This is between 1992 to 2007. And as Minister of Communication in 2009, right up to 2019, he has been one of those ministers that has been whistleblower of the system. One thing about the CPDM government, like I always say, is that they lack quality people in their government. They lack quality people for communication. They lack certain kind of people to help them manage leadership. They know so well and take most people who are good in power conservation, but they don't take people for the purpose of leadership per se, for governance per se. So his resignation confirmation is going to make readjustments in the plans of the major frontline politicians. Everybody now is trying to see what can I get from the groundnut, what should I do quickly, and how can I place my cards in such a way that it can be to the benefit of the change we seek in 2025. This is also an opportunity for the English-speaking Cameroonians to call themselves and say, hey, what's up? What should we and what ought we do? What can we do? Who are we and where are we heading to? What's our place? And what are the stakes around our interests as a community, as people that have been affected by an ongoing crisis? I saw a report from your platform today that a separatist leader has been killed. And, you know, it doesn't call for concern anymore when these news come up because it's been the usual normal for over 8 years plus. But these are lives. I mean, these are lives of people. People make comments, smile over, laugh, and pass, but these are people's families. These are people that life has been taken away from them. So it is the moment for reflection, for anticipation, for action, for strategy. It is that moment that Cameroonians need to use this opportunity to say end to the 4 years plus decade of reign of terror in Cameroon.
So that is how I see it. We have this comment from, before I continue, because you've mentioned a point that's very important about what he has said with regards to the Anglophone crisis. You've talked about this war in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Citizens from there should be thinking that what can they actually do to bring about the change and the peace that people have been clamoring for so many years now. But we have Prince Will Petinjo saying that, Mr. Analyst, are you a CPDM supporter? Fabrice Lena will be happy to welcome constructive questions and answer your question, because I think that everyone who is interested or joining this live, we are all interested in the politics, in the current situation in Cameroon, in the 2025 presidential election. We all need to know what is going to be happening going forward. Instead of asking questions like, are you a CPDM supporter? I would expect a young.
I will respond to the
I would expect a young Cameroonian to ask, how is this benefiting me as a Cameroonian? How is this benefiting me as a motorbike rider or a taxi driver or a teacher or an unemployed young Cameroonian? I need to know how this benefits me. I need to know how this benefits my friends or my family or my younger ones. But before you respond, Fabrice Lena, we should say that Issa Tchiroma Bakari was speaking during a live interview today with one of our colleagues in Garoua, where he officially announced that he is resigning from the CPDM and from his ministerial post. He confirmed during the live broadcast, though it ended abruptly with a question, finding out why he is different from other politicians. He couldn't answer that question. So though he is leaving, his statement about how he intends to end the Anglophone crisis, which began, which has been lingering since 2016, with more than 6,000 people killed. Those are official figures from international organizations like the United Nations. But we have unofficial figures from opposition party members and civil society groups in Cameroon that have indicated that the figures could even be more, double, or even triple what we have officially. That's not all. The conflict has also today resulted from marginalization grievances in the English-speaking population, and Issa Tchiroma Bakari is one of the top members of the top at the top level of government who justified military action, denying acts of brutality against the people of the English-speaking Northwest and the Southwest regions. His letter yesterday was actually looking at what he could do to solve the Anglophone crisis. And I want to quote him before I get back to Fabrice Lena. He said, to our Anglophone compatriots in the Northwest and the Southwest regions, I want to speak frankly. The crisis affecting you is not only a security crisis. So the ministers in government know that there is a conflict, even though we have people like Atanganji and other members of the government saying that all is well in the Northwest and the Southwest regions. So he is saying that he also went ahead to say that it is a political, historical, and identity-based crisis. He also said that you do not need people to speak to you. You need to be listened to. You must feel in terms that the Republic is also your home, that your voice counts, and that your history is acknowledged. It is by building together in respect of your specificities, and that we will achieve lasting peace together. So those are some of the statements from Issa Tchiroma Bakari. Fabrice Lena, I wanted to find out from you, what do you read of Issa Tchiroma Bakari's statement that the Anglophones need to be listened to, looking at how much he did when the conflict started and where we are now with the conflict?
One thing I know about someone like Issa Tchiroma is that he can't be trusted, but he has some amount of truth in what he says, because he has been out of the system and he has been inside the system. So just like politicians that feel like I should pay back to this guy in his own coins, just the way he treated his former master, who gave him power on the platter of gold, you know. So when you look at President Paul Biya's political career and the way Amadou Ahidjo gave him power, is the same way that Issa Tchiroma and the rest were unhappy about how President Paul Biya came to power and started taking power just to the center-south people. And this issue of tribalism became so powerful. And he himself has been a victim of the system in place, being in prison for 6 years. These things cannot be easily forgotten. It can't be easily forgotten. We should take note of that. And it has also been part of his political trajectory. And Issa Tchiroma himself lived the realities of the Anglophone crisis, and is someone who can balance the character in a movie. He can play it so well. Hypocrisy, pretense, politics for the sake of politics, and making politics to have all the names that people give to politics. So between 2009 to 2019, we saw someone who was an ardent supporter of the system, who was whistleblower of the system, and today he's telling us that, yes, you guys have reasons with what you were saying. You guys, your problems is genuine. You guys, issue is not a military, doesn't deserve a military solution. It deserves a political solution. You have an identity problem. So enumerating all these things is trying to appear to us like a saint. He isn't a saint. The fact that you have come out today to say that what you were saying 6 years ago is the truth does not cancel the number of lives that has been lost, does not cancel your participation in the process of marginalization, does not cancel your role in the whole process of subjugating these people, and does not bring back those people who have lost their properties and have been in anguish, in total anger throughout this period. It doesn't cancel, it doesn't change these things.
Very important point. And I've also seen a comment from someone saying that for people, particularly the English-speaking population, to take him seriously, he needs to apologize.
Of course. I mean, I was about to make that also, because like I said yesterday in the Twitter space that we were having a conversation with young people, I said the first thing that he's supposed to do is to make a public apology that he is sorry for participating with the arrogant and cruel government to contribute to escalating and making the Anglophone crisis to go so violent and contributing to loss of lives. He should do that if he wants people to take him serious as someone who wants to bring down the system or lead Cameroon. But personally, I don't trust him. Personally, I can't vouch for him. I can't, because someone who is unpredictable can easily switch sides, cannot be loyal person and cannot even respect the contract that he signs with the people. So just like President Paul Biya, they are in the same category of politics and era of politicians. What I would say about the current situation at hand is that Cameroonians should be keen to know who is who and who are the consistent politicians with track record of actions. Someone mentioned if I am a CBM analyst. I mean, people should be informed. This is what I always ask Cameroonians to find out about. Be informed about people. When someone's name come up or someone is saying something, yeah, it just suffices for you to type the person's name on Google and check a couple of things about the person. What is this person doing? What are people saying about this person? What does this person do? Where is it coming from? So you should know that I have always been a staunch opposition to the system in place from time immemorial, since I started engaging actively in politics from 2014. I have never agreed in 1 second with what people and how.
It's a good thing that you're responding to the question, but also we have other important things to talk about. And we want to see young Cameroonians being part of the conversation. And,
okay.
Yeah, of course, talking about what they would want to see, because at the end of the day, the conversation will still come back to us. It will still come back to young Cameroonians questioning whether the electoral system is good, whether things are going well in the country, why roads are not good. What did you do to ensure that things actually change? So ask yourself that question wherever you are watching this program. This is the opportunity. This year is the year for every Cameroonian to contribute in one way or another, to do something about the situation in Cameroon. You must not do it politically. The people can register and see how to change leadership. People can be part of the conversation. You can facilitate things for even the opposition leaders, for the politicians, for civil society activists, even for journalists like us. And the enemy is not amongst the people that I've just mentioned. The enemy is not the journalists. The enemy is not the opposition. I can say the enemy is the system that has been in place for more than 40 years and counting.
Exactly.
Unable to deliver. Bad roads across the national territory, accidents every week in Cameroon, so many families dying because of the war in the far north region, in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. What is your own role? What is your own responsibility? That is the kind of conversation we want to have. Those are the kind of questions we want to see in the comment section. And we have also one man calling himself Dende Chu, saying that separation is the solution. That's an opinion, and you should be listened to. But by who? That is the question. So there's a statement. There's something that I want to ask you, Fabrice Lena. You're a young politician. You've been mobilizing youths at the level of the grassroots, and you've inspired a lot of young people into leadership. I saw someone in the comment section saying that I like Fabrice Lena because he's always very pertinent. So you've been able to create that impact in Cameroon's political scene. But Issa Tchiroma Bakari, according to, this is official, we don't know what his official age is, he's almost in his 80s and wanting to run as president in Cameroon at a time when, at the level of the National Assembly, we have the oldest leading the National Assembly, the oldest people in the Senate, even the presidency, a lot of old people, ministerial positions occupied by old people. So what do you think? Should that, if he is really having Cameroon at the back of his mind, I want the interest of Cameroon and Cameroonians, should he even be running for these posts?
Not at all, not at all. Personally, I don't trust most of the politicians in Cameroon that are above 70. Seriously, this generation have not been able to secure the change we seek. In the 90s, there was an opportunity and it was missed. Most of the time that we have conversations with elite and elderly persons about the 90s, they tell us a lot of beautiful efforts they made, which is plausible, but I also believe that they missed something in this time, because this was the very this was the key moment in the political trajectory of most countries in Africa where changes were made. This is the moment that most leaders and presidents that were presidents of the independence era were changed in most countries. And that's why they could enjoy stability right now in their different nations. But in Cameroon, it was missed. And in the early 2000s, it was missed. And Tchiroma is one of the persons who participated in 2007-8 to help President Paul Biya to modify the constitution of Cameroon for unlimited presidential mandate renewal. And this singular actor, this particular factor led to the situation of the ability of electoral fraud to be able to take place over and over again, because constitutional democracy limit to the mandate, the tenure of office of the president is one of the factors that can make the population to tolerate a bad president for a given period of time. In Nigeria, no matter how bad a president is, they know that they can support this guy for 8 years and they get rid of him. Same in Ghana, in Senegal, in Benin, and some of other countries that have limit in constitution and term of office. But we are still struggling with that particular aspect. So if Tchiroma is coming in 2025 to tell us that, well, I'm going to change, this is somebody that in 1992, he was nominated minister out of the will of the national president of his party. Bello Buba was the national president of his party and was not okay with Tchiroma being nominated by President Paul Biya. And he instead sued Bello Buba for meddling in what he called his private affair and then nomination, whatever. And in 2007, it was the same situation. He followed with Amadou Mustafa before he created his FNNC. And in 2004, when they were struggling to create a coalition for unique candidate with Nijon Fundi and Adamu Damjoya as the frontliners, they were the people who played the role of making sure this doesn't happen if it doesn't favor the northern region. So today he's coming to cajole Anglophones on what basis? He had the opportunity to support Nijon Fundi, he did not do it. He had the opportunity to play the role of bringing a unique candidate, he didn't do it. He had the opportunity to prevent the introduction of bill of term limit into the constitution of Cameroon. He didn't do it. He had so many opportunities for more than 30 years, and then he can't come when he's towards the end of his political career to say that he is the savior. We applaud him for defecting. It's a good idea. This is good for Cameroonians. This is good for the opposition. This is good for myself. This is good for our team. But him being the person coming in front to play this role, I don't and can't vouch for him still. But there is a message I want to pass to Cameroonian youth. Instead of looking for who to blame, look for who to give credit to. Look for what you ought to do that you have not done. Ask yourself the role you ought to play that you have not played. Because most young people in Cameroon blame everybody except themselves. They go around looking for who is CBDM and who is not CBDM. Go around looking for who has what deficiency, what limitation. But ask yourself, if we are unable to break the deadlock, what is my role and what did I not do in the process? We have a population of approximately 30 million people. And we have just 8 million people that are effectively registered. And we have never had more than 4 million people effectively voting in Cameroon since 1992 till present. What is the cause of apathy? Why are people not engaged and interested? We know that ELECAM is not sufficient to guarantee the transparency of the process, no, the Constitutional Council. But there is also the role of the population, because we are effectively 16 to 18 million people who are eligible to vote, who can take part in the process, who can participate in a national manifestation, who can measure and muzzle up these people. But we are not doing that as a people. I am playing my role. I've been playing my role.
Before we continue, I want to just welcome those who are joining from our Twitter platform, from YouTube, joining from Facebook. Wherever you're watching us from, you are onto MMI, and we are reacting to Issa Tchiroma Bakari's statements just few minutes ago. He has officially announced that he is no longer part of the BS government. He says that he is no longer Minister of Employment and Vocational Training. He was speaking during a live broadcast with one of our colleagues in Garwa, North Region, which is the hometown of Issa Tchiroma Bakari. It was just a while ago when he was talking about his political agenda and what he has as plans to solve the socio-political crisis plaguing Cameroon, what he has as solutions to the Anglophone crisis, what he can do to tackle the security, the problems of insecurity across the national territory. But there was one question for those who are just joining. They asked him, how different is he from other politicians? And he couldn't respond, and the live just ended. Was it do you think, Fabrice Lena is a political analyst who is just joining us now, and just to tell our viewers as well that this is a conversation that will continue, and we can do this every day. I want to see thumbs up and yes in the comment section if Cameroonians are interested that we continue to have this conversation like every day. If you're interested, please subscribe to our YouTube channel because most of the live streams will happen there. You can go there and just type talk with Mimi Mefo and you'll see they would follow us. We'll also try to share the link in the comment section so that people can join via the link. So Fabrice Lena, we have a lot of questions in the comment section, but I just wanted to ask because people are kind of questioning what Issa Bakari can bring. But I just asked earlier what your thoughts are about him trying to say he can bring about change in Cameroon at a time when people really want change, as in change. Someone who has been part of the system that people want to be gone. What do you think do you think Cameroonians should trust him at this point in time? Or do you think that asking him why and how he is different from other opposition leaders was a difficult question for him to answer?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a difficult question for him to answer. He's not a revolutionary and cannot be a revolutionary now. According to official age, he is 75, born in 1949. I can't prove or disprove that, but that's what we can get as official age. So we don't think that Issa can do anything really significant now in Cameroon. He doesn't have much to give to Cameroonians as we speak right now, not in terms of deliveries, in terms of governance, in terms of goods and services, in terms of even the ability to govern the country as president of the republic. He is someone who is so good in telling lies, and he's very good in propaganda. He's very good in being unpredictable. People don't know the angle from which he will come. Such a person cannot really be trusted with the leadership of a country like Cameroon. That Cameroon now needs a revolutionary. Cameroon needs someone that needs to come and reset and upset the system. We need someone who will come and completely dismantle the appointive system of governance. That system of governor, DO, SDO, completely remove them. We need someone who will come in Cameroon and say, hey, let's as a people sit and redefine the basis of living together, redefine what makes us Cameroonians, redefine our destiny. Because since the formation of the country, Cameroon, we have not done these things. We need a revolutionary. We need someone who will come and say, we are reintroducing weekend general participation in the construction of the country, the railway road from Maroua to the economic hub of Cameroon to Grassfield region. Everybody have to participate in the construction. We need that kind of leader. I'm not saying Tchiroma to be that kind of leader. I'm not seeing many of the people who have declared to be those kind of leaders, but I'm seeing a few people that given that power, they could be that kind of leader, because that's what Cameroonians need now. Cameroonians need someone who is verve, who is vibrant, who has that spirit of, you know, reaffirming the place of Cameroon in CEMAC zone in Africa. That person, that the aspiration reflect youth, the Gen Z, the youthful generation. The 19 to 39 population of Cameroon constitutes 70% of the total population. And this is why I still come back to call this group of people. You are the ones that is making these old folks to think that they have all the rights to do whatever thing they have to do. Because we only seek to look for loopholes instead of seeking to bond ourselves and construct a country. Look at what youths are doing in Kenya. Youth in Kenya are not tolerant at all to bad governance. Any inch an indicator of bad governance, they go out to protest. They go out to ask for their rights. They go out to dismantle the social contract that is not respected by the president. That's what they do. And this is why their country works. That's why Nairobi is beautiful, than Yaoundé. This is the same thing that Nigerians do. That's why you can't compare Abuja or Lagos with any city in Cameroon. We should wake up from our sleep and stop looking for who to blame. We should stand up as young people and fight for our nation instead of looking at who hasn't done what, who is not doing what, or who is a peon or whatsoever. Because that has always been the issue. People keep looking for people to blame. People keep looking for justifications to justify their lack of participation. There is no excuse for you not to be part of the political process. If you're looking for the Messiah, propose yourself. I've always said to young people, I am doing what I'm doing because I'm proposing myself. Since I look around my generation, I'm not seeing someone doing what I'm doing. I say, okay, I'm there, I'm up. And then I come to say, yes, Mimi, we can have this conversation. And I will say to Cameroonians that be the one upon which our generation could count on for this change that we are seeking. Because the northern region now, there is a lot of underground preparations for some new surprises. A lot of surprises are going to come. I said this thing some few months ago in an interview I had in a certain TV station. I said 2025 election is full of surprises. 2025 election will bring things that Cameroon did not imagine. And I also tell partners of Cameroon that be anticipating a lot of surprises, because many people are just like, okay, it's going to be business as usual. 2025 will not be business as usual. In fact, you guys don't even imagine what is cooking, what Cameroonians are preparing, what people are doing. People want change.
Fabrice Lena has got a lot of knowledge, particularly on Issa Tchiroma Bakari and the political scene in Cameroon. We have a lot of comments, people reacting, others actually questioning whether they can even trust the electoral process in Cameroon. People also want to know if Elekam is even competent. I'm seeing a lot of comments, people saying that Issa Tchiroma Bakari.
Can I answer that quickly about the electoral process?
Yes, because before that, I want us to also welcome Franklin Sonne. He is a veteran journalist in Cameroon. He has been covering the conflict from the very beginning, especially given that there were a lot of declarations about the Anglophone crisis. From every indication, there are so many things that have been happening within the government that Cameroonians were unaware of, and the people have been suffering on the ground in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. So many people have already died, villages destroyed, a lot of villages deserted. People's lives just turned into something else overnight, and they had to flee their villages, their different localities where they knew from the time they were born, and they had to adapt a new lifestyle, move probably to the Francophone parts of Cameroon, where they have been feeling constantly and asking that question, when is this going to end? I think we lost Franklin for a while, and he will certainly be coming back. A lot of people want to listen to Fabrice Lena. Maybe you answer that question as to whether the electoral system in Cameroon can be trusted. Go ahead, Fabrice.
Thank you so much, Mimi. I want to say that since 2022, my organization has been on the field, and we are part of those people that can beat the chest today to say we've contributed enormously to increasing the number of youths that have registered. And our future has been on the field in Bamenda, in Mamfe, in Boya, in Limbe, most especially because we wanted to target our community and our own area before participating into the national sensitization campaign. I have had close discussions with ELECAM officials at different levels, local levels as well as national levels. And I have come to realize that there is that will for most of the employees of ELECAM as employees to do the right thing, but there is also the political pressure from the executive arm of the government. This one is clear to everybody. We can always see the reaction to Minat vis-a-vis this institution in some cases and in national events. But most of them really have the will to do what they ought to do and what they can do. What we need to do as Cameroonians is to understand that what we call social contract is actually a rapport de force. Social contract is a rapport de force. When the people decide and want to do what they are capable of doing as the population, they are able to put pressure on ELECAM, put pressure on Constitutional Council, put pressure on the executive to understand that it is not business as usual and you're not going to steal our votes. If I take the example of Gambia, for example.
Just before we come back to you, we have Franklin Sonne.
Oh, okay.
He's a veteran journalist in Cameroon. He just joined us. I know it's been a hectic day, Franklin, but thank you for sparing this moment to come and talk to us about Cameroon, about the latest happening in the country. Thank you and welcome.
Cameroon network will not allow him to talk.
Unfortunately, but this is a program where we would want to have even journalists to come on board to air their minds, because journalists are doing the coverage on a daily basis and they've got a lot to offer when it comes to expertise. Mr. Franklin Sonne, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Mimi. Pleasure to be here. I'm here for the first time. It's good to discover the show.
Yeah, it's also good to have you.
I'm nearly in darkness. I'm in the kitchen. I just got home now.
So welcome.
I hope it doesn't spoil the show. I can see you. Fabric really bright. I am the dark horse here in the literal sense of the word.
It's absolutely fine. So we have the information is now very official and it's public that Issa Tchiroma has resigned as Minister of the BS government. He spoke to a journalist just this evening, one of our colleagues, and you have been following these developments, not just today. You are a veteran journalist in Cameroon. You've been following the political scene, what has been happening. You've also been working even on the background to bring us as journalists together so that we can start asking those pertinent questions about the political landscape in Cameroon. But let's look at the Anglophone crisis and what he has said. You are one of those journalists that started reporting from the very beginning. A lot was said by the members of government, and Issa Tchiroma is kind of having a different tone today. According to him, Anglophones need to be listened to, and there's need for referendum so that the people can decide what kind of government or governance they want, what form of the state they want. What do you think about this sudden twist, looking at what he said when the conflict just started and how the coverage was at that time? What do you think?
Mimi, there is a younger colleague of mine, of ours, who often say it depends on what angle you look at it. Depends on from what angle Issa Tchiroma is looking at the problem right now. At the time he was speaking from the government, he was looking at it from a different angle. Now he is in the opposition, or so we can say, and he's looking at it from another angle. And let me tell you this: now that Mr. Tchiroma is out of government, I know I didn't owe him any duty of reserve, but I think this is the occasion to tell you and the world, Mr. Tchiroma has always thought this way about the Anglophone problem. What he said while in government, he was just trying to be politically correct. By his convictions, this is a position he holds. I can tell you this because I know that in 2009, I was a member of a newly elected executive committee of the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists, CAMASEJ, and we undertook a national tour. We took a tour of the chapters. I think we had been to Bamenda, and then we were in Yaoundé. And in Yaoundé, we visited a number of personalities. We visited the Director General, I think the Assistant, Dr. Peter Mabu of Sopecam. We visited Mr. Issa Tchiroma, who was Minister of Communication at the time. This is 2009. And we didn't come to discuss the Anglophone problem, but we at least raised a number of issues about the plight of Anglophone journalists and the practice of journalism in Cameroon as far as Anglophones are concerned. And in his office, he said, you see, I understand you people. I hope I could quote him word verbatim, but I'm trying to paraphrase. And he said, if I were in your place, I would be more brutal because your concerns are genuine. This was sometime in mid-2009 when he said this to us in his office. And I know Mr. Tchiroma, we know him from the early days of the NUDP in 1991, 1992. We know he is a firebrand. I think the thing to be surprised about him was how he managed being in the government and the things he said while in the government. That is what should surprise us, not what he is saying now, because this is the natural Tchiroma. Remember that I did not know him. I mean, I wasn't young, I wasn't old enough to know, to weigh political personalities in 1984 when there was a coup d'etat, but know that this man went to jail. This man was going to be executed in 1984 after the coup d'etat by the Republican Guards, who were essentially Northerners. And you know that many political figures, those who were managing state institutions, Mr. Tchiroma, I think at that time worked with Reggie Fekam, some were executed, and I think he was on the death row, but he ended up at Info prison, where he told me one day that's where he learned English. He taught himself English while in prison. So tough talk is not new to Issa Tchiroma. You know that even within the NUDP, when they joined the government in 1992 and Bello Buba Maigari didn't like it, while Amadou Mustafa was calm, Issa Tchiroma was spitting fire against Bello Buba Maigari. And in the early 2000s, when he was out of government, he was one of those who led the Northern Memorandum. There was a Northern Memorandum by Northern political and economic elite protesting against the plight of the Greater North. Mr. Tchiroma was at the forefront of that. Leading up to the 2004 presidential election, when there was another attempt by the opposition top brass to weave a coalition, Mr. Tchiroma was a key architect of that effort. They were holding Monte en Rouge. I was covering that story for the Herald newspaper, and Mr. Tchiroma was a key player. In fact, when the SDF pulled out of that coalition, because it emerged that Adamunda Mjoya of the CDU was preferred by certain political leaders, maybe the majority of the leaders who were in that fold, when the SDF pulled out, Mr. Tchiroma was the one who came and said, Frundi has sold us out. So Issa Tchiroma, don't mind it. It is the surprising thing, and that is why when he joined the government in the early 2010s, 2010, 2011 or 2012, it was surprising, knowing the positions I know he holds. It was surprising, especially when he became the spokesman of the government, and the denials that he championed and the blatant lies that he told. You know that before him, we had known Augustin Konchu Komini. I think Tchiroma hailed out Konchu Komini when he came to that position and told the blatant lies that he told. You remember, Mimi, it wasn't you, but your colleagues at Equinox TV. Babila Jonathan asked him about lies telling, and he said, no. He didn't even have the courage to speak. He was only shaking his head and mumbling in his throat. But he really told a lot of lies to defend the government, and that is what was surprising.
So one of the questions I want to ask, because many Cameroonians will disagree with some of the things that you've said. They could be factual, but the intentions behind it it's one of the intentions.
Cameroonians are not great now. Yes. It's breaking. I'm not getting you fully. Can you take it over?
I don't know if you can hear me now. Can you hear me now?
The line is broken on my side. I hear you in bits, and I cannot weave the sentences together.
Yes, can you hear me now? There's also a
you come and go.
There's a possibility for you to go and come back, to just leave briefly and rejoin, so that the
now you're coming through.
Okay. So many people in the comment section will disagree. I've seen more than 20 people saying that, it's not true. So they have a contrary opinion. But one question I want to ask, like you've also clearly stated that he was saying blatantly he was lying. There was a lot of propaganda in the things that he was saying when he became minister. The question is, why now? Why would he want to speak up now? And why should people believe him now?
Never mind. I want to comment first about your first comment. People who do not believe. In the hierarchy of statements, information is right at the top. Opinions are very low down below. You know, I don't mind when people have an opinion and they do not have information. What I have given is information. I reported these things and I'm saying them firsthand. I have my opinions too. But those who don't have the information I have, their opinion cannot matter as much as mine would. Now, to talk about why now, in politics, it's all about time. In politics, it's all about time. You know, let me take it to another sphere. You know that, and I'm not being an apologist for anybody. I am a very realistic person, and I like truth. You know that you've told a lot of truth, Mimi Mefo. Now, this is time for political soapbox when politicians are going to tell stories. And if you know, right now, they're looking around for journalists who can manage their communication, either speaking on TV or just from the background. And some politicians may approach you. Some politicians may approach you, Mimi Mefo, to manage their communication. And it will be up to you to say yes or no. Mind you that in our profession has a thin line that crosses into public relations, into institutional communication. Sometimes we are this side of the truth. Sometimes we are on the other side where we do not agree that we are telling a lie. We only say that we are telling a truth in a nice way. And so when we cross over to that side, we are no longer the same person. The ethical thing is, let it be known that when we cross over, we are not doing journalism. Unfortunately, many of our colleagues, I told you, I'm shifting from Issa Tchiroma to talk about general issues first. Many of our colleagues are doing communication for personalities or for institutions in the name of journalism. That is what is dishonest. But if you, Mimi Mefo, if I, Franklin Sonebayen, move from the TV set, from the newspaper as a reporter, and accept a position as a communication manager or as a propagandist at the extreme for someone or for an institution, let it be known that that is what I'm doing. Let it be left to my conscience whether when I return to journalism, I'll be able to explain why I told beautiful lies or sweet truths or embellished truths instead of telling the plain truth that I, as a journalist, was supposed to tell. This has happened all over the world. This has happened in all political systems where journalists have moved into communication, become press officers or press secretaries at the presidency, at the White House, at Elysee, 10 Downing Street. This has happened. So what we're seeing from Issa Tchiroma is a classic classroom case. It's a classroom case for us to understand the line between the truth, the plain truth, and the embellished truth, or the truth according to a version. When Mr. Tchiroma was in government, he accepted to be the spokesman for the government to the full. What is he going to be? I think that is where your question is now, and I'm coming to that. What is he going to be telling his supporters? What is he going to be telling those he's trying to win over when they ask him these questions? And of course, those questions are legitimate because we have to give account. Can we at the same time say that the devil is Jesus and tomorrow morning say that Jesus is not the devil? That will be reflected in how the supporters respond, how voters respond. Now, if the voters think that this man is speaking tongue-in-cheek or is eating with both sides of his mouth, they will sanction him. If they will understand that he was just doing that for a purpose, we will wait to hear what Mr. Tchiroma will tell us. But let me tell you one thing I know he will say. Mr. Tchiroma said already, and I know he will say it again, that when he accepted to go to the government to play the role that he was playing as a spokesperson for the government, he had been briefed. He had been briefed about certain dangers coming from some of his own brothers of the North. I don't want to cite Marafa Hamidu Yahya, but I'm saying that he says he was briefed about certain dangers on the nation. And so he came in to save the nation. He came to serve the government in order to save the nation. That is what I have heard him. I don't know whether he said this directly.
He came in to save the nation after allegedly participating in a coup d'etat. So what a contradiction.
No. When I mentioned the coup d'etat, I didn't say he was suspected of being involved.
That's why I'm saying that it's a bit contradictory.
I think if he was found guilty, he would have been executed.
Yes, it's a bit, I mean, contradictory to say he was accused of, anyway, people have been accused of things they didn't do, but it's contradictory to say he came to save the nation, and at the same time, he is being accused of foiling a coup d'etat, and also at the same time, he has been member of the opposition for a long time. There are people who have been members of the Cameroonian opposition, but they never switched sides and joined the government that is in place. So it's not because they weren't given the opportunity to join the government. It's just because of who they are and the kind of ideals they stand for. Because we also have Fabrice Lena.
In African politics, Senegal.
Yes, just briefly so that Fabrice Lena can also.
I think I've gotten the essence of your concerns, Mimi.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten the essence of your concerns. I agree with what you're saying. Anyone who's followed Mr. Tchiroma in the past 10 to 13 to 12 to 13 years would have legitimate questions to ask him, and he will have to answer those questions. What I'm saying are not justifications. They are to help people understand why these things happen. I think that is our duty as journalists or those who have been close to these quarters to understand how they function. There are people who have questions. Sometimes we can help to bring the answers because of what we know. Mr. Tchiroma will have to answer the questions about his turnaround and turnaround and turnaround. But as I say again, it is not a first. We have seen opposition leaders serve in government before. In Senegal, in the 1980s, Abdoulaye Wade was in government. He was an opposition leader already. That country never became a one-party system. They had an opposition party. And Mr. Wade, Abdoulaye Wade, was an opposition leader, a vibrant one for that matter, but he served in the government of Abdou Diouf until he left and then ran again against Abdou Diouf and defeated him. So it will not be a first. But I say this does not absolve Mr. Tchiroma of the questions he has to answer, because a lot of the whitewashing that was done to save this government from answering the questions they owed the public in the national politics generally, in the Anglophone problem, Mr. Tchiroma was a firefighter. Now the question would be, and this is my question to Mr. Tchiroma, now that you are crying fire, 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 shouldn't someone else?
A politician who is firebrand, a politician who is honest, a politician who really wants change, because politics is politics. We know that. With politics, people can switch from one camp to another. When you realize that you've wronged the people, you have done things the wrong way, you've said things that were not true. You've been a propaganda tool, a songbird for a government that has been in place for more than 40 years. And you come back to your senses, so to speak. We should say come back to his senses. Or he's now trying to change his political course. The least Cameroonians expect is kind of honesty to say, look, I said these things, I'm sorry. I said this and I said that. Apologies for those things that I said. I said this is what was happening in Cameroon. I told these specific lies for these specific reasons. But when you don't do that, why should people believe you? Fabrice Lena, before we come back to you and Mr. Sonny Bayen, I want to ask Fabrice because he's been there waiting. Fabrice, I just wanted to ask you.
Let me just say before you go to Fabrice. Let me just say before you go to Fabrice.
Yes, just briefly.
For the man.
So yeah.
Yes, Mimi.
Yes, we lost you. We lost you a moment ago, but yeah, you can respond to the question.
Yeah. For the role Mr. Tchiroma has played in this government, and at a time that brought so much pain to Cameroonians nationwide, but especially the Anglophones, the first word out of Mr. Tchiroma's mouth after he submitted his resignation letter was to say, I am sorry. I lied. I do not know how he's going to be able to explain his years as the propaganda face and tongue of a regime that has brought into so many Cameroonians, which Mr. Tchiroma was an.
Okay, so Fabrice, then please come in here because we are losing Mr. Sonny Bayen. Would you want to react to some of the things he said, or? Oh, sorry, you're muted. Just let me unmute. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, of course, Mimi. I have a little bit of a different perspective into some of the things Mr. Bayen said as a journalist. Of course, he's saying the things he's saying from the prism of a journalist. Journalists have a perspective from which they receive information and they dish out information. As a young political actor, as someone who observed the political scene and is participating, I would say I can't, as a young Cameroonian, encourage any other young Cameroonian at this point in time to want to believe somebody like Tchiroma for anything and for any reason, especially him being a major player in the 2025 elections. People like him should honorably give the way for younger generation to take over. What Tchiroma should do right now is to galvanize his base, that's the northern region, and I don't think he is the only person in his political party. Like what Mr. Sonny said, he has never been a humble politician in any of the platforms that he had been a militant or an executive leader in that party from 1990 to present, because wherever he had always been given a post of responsibility, he tries to emerge in his own perspective, or he cares less about whoever is the leadership. That has been his relationship with Bello, with Amadou Mustafa, until ascertaining himself as the leader. So what we are expecting of him right now is to turn down his resignation also as the national leader of FNC and give it to a younger person. You can't tell me that he is the only person capable of leading this party. If he really wants change, then that is what we should be expecting of him. He should organize a congress or whatever organ of his party that gives him power to transition leadership and give it to a younger generation. He is 75 plus, according to what we can see of his age. He should retire from politics and be a veteran that people could consult at different levels to have information about how to navigate the system. He has successfully navigated the system. He's still alive. It's a grace for some of the people who perhaps believe in him. I saw a young person who was formerly in the PCRN political party, resigning from PCRN to join him. There are some young people who still believe in him. Of course, no matter how a leader is good or bad, he always have his own loyalists. He always have his own people that will always believe in whatever thing he does or does. So I think Tchiroma should take into consideration the aspect of also resigning as the national president of his political party and giving power to a younger person in his party, or preparing an opposition that could put up a real force to challenging the system. Firstly, this will give him some sort of honorable perception, which some people have already in mind, because some people are crediting him for taking the bull by the horns to resign, which I don't do, but I mean, some people have this opinion, which of course is also an opinion that should not be discarded. And secondly, it will somehow help the opposition. His resignation will now help the opposition to be able to strategize in order to put up a strong force against the system. But him saying he is candidate, it's still coming to the cycle of still being a power monger, still seeking power again. It's not helping the situation. And this is where some people say it's distraction. If he's saying he's coming to be a candidate to lead what and from what prism? What is the basis of him leading? Because this is not more the moment where we were just putting up leaders for the sake of saying this person has been a politician. There are a lot of factors. So you cannot come from a background of lies to say you want to be the president without establishing the basis of reconciling the things you said and the position you're now taking. There must be some sort of reconciliation, and there must be, you must establish a link between what you want to stand for now, the things you're saying for now, the contradictions that is already clear, and where you want to head to. If we were to establish a truth, justice and reconciliation commission, he should be one of the people called to that commission and put on a hot seat to answer questions to how he put journalists in danger, activists in danger, politicians in danger in his times as minister. He should answer for those things, because as the minister, the things he said put people's life in jeopardy, put people's jobs in jeopardy. That cannot just be relegated into the background of history to welcome him now as a hero. No. So what he should do now is to establish the precedence, is to establish a basis upon which people can now judge him to say, okay, when you go to church and you repent, for Catholic Christians, the reverend will tell you, okay, these are the things you have to do not to sin again and not to repeat the same sin again. So he has to first of all do the penance. He has to first of all establish and you know, Cameroonians are the people that are the reverend fathers that he needs to seek for you know, confession from. He had to confess to Cameroonians, and after the confession, we cannot have the basis of establishing you know, the reconciliation between Cameroonian people and himself. And from there, the minimum he can do is to pass over power and not to say he's going to be candidate. So I really will not want to be part of those that are crediting him for the position he's taking now. It's good for the opposition. This is what we want, but the role he wants to play after that is not what we want. And that, I think, is the opinion a lot of people as well share.
So, Mr. Sonebayen, I know you want to respond, but Fabrice Lena has mentioned an aspect of press censorship. As journalists, we've seen colleagues suffer from repression and from the government. Some of our colleagues are currently behind bars, others have been killed. Media sorrows rest in perfect peace, and others are living in perpetual fear, others unable to even report about what is happening. This is an electoral year, and so many journalists have been silenced, others are actually in exile, including myself, talking or speaking here tonight. I just wanted to ask you, with Tchiroma now coming in as someone who intimidated journalists and threatened journalists, do you think that things could change in that perspective? Do you think that he could bring about some positive changes when it comes to the media landscape in Cameroon? What are your expectations as a journalist?
You see, like I said before, I dropped out of the program. The first word out of Mr. Tchiroma's mouth after he submitted his resignation should have been, "I'm sorry, and please forgive me," and make a confession, like Fabrice says. Make a confession about the lies he told. Whether you like it or not, this is Judgment Day for Mr. Tchiroma. It is not a given. When I say the things I say, I told you I'm not being an apologist. I'm not justifying them. I'm simply explaining them so that people understand the context in which these things happen. But Mr. Tchiroma has all the questions in the world to answer to Cameroonians for the things he cannot. At the same time, dance. I'm not saying anyone is a devil, but you cannot play with Manchester City in one game, and during the in the second half, you're wearing the jersey of Manchester City and scoring against Manchester United, and you don't expect people to ask you questions. You should answer those questions. Mr. Tchiroma should answer those questions, because if he doesn't, you will see the reflection in the votes. He's not going to walk away with it. He certainly will not, because coming down to the press, I wouldn't say that he was such a repressive minister of communication, but like they say, silence is consent. He condoned it. We didn't expect him to speak up for journalists because he was in government, but at least he shouldn't have allowed some of the things that happened. I remember incidents at Equinox TV where he came. I remember quite a few incidents which happened while he was Minister of Communication. He's not going to have a jolly party with journalists, because we don't forget easily. At least we are not the ones who forget the most. So we remember, and we are the ones asking the questions, and we are going to ask him the questions. We know that he doesn't shy of the press. He will accept to do interviews. He will speak at events, and we will ask him those questions. And we hope that he has answers for them, because it's not going to be a jolly party. He's going to face the scrutiny that he deserves for the kind of things, the dirty job that he did while in the government. I have no reservations in calling them a dirty job.
Mr. Fabrice Lena, who is also here, like I said earlier, he has been mobilizing grassroots politicians, sensitizing young people about the need to register and vote in upcoming elections in Cameroon. With the political, what is happening in the political scene in the country at the moment, what would be your expectations? What will you tell young Cameroonians who are currently watching? We have up to 1,000 people watching us at the moment from different social media platforms, particularly Twitter, which is now X, YouTube, and Facebook. What would be your message to those eager Cameroonians who want to know what happens next?
Join us in the political education field work. For the people who are yet to register, you still have some few weeks. Please rush to the nearest Elecam antenne in your municipality and locality. You have to brave the odds. You have to be that person upon whom this 2025 will see change. So you have to do the needful, the basics. Play your role as a citizen. These are roles enshrined in the Constitution of Cameroon. The preamble have all the civic and political rights in it, Universal Declaration of Human Rights in it. Those are things that everybody should know. You should know that you are protected when you are doing these things. To vote, to participate in the political process does not make you a politician. Seek to know the existing political parties. Know the political actors. You need to know them, because you can't make a choice out of the blue. You need to know who is Fabrice Lena, who is the journalist, because a lot of people make confusion when we come to platforms and talk. They don't even know our background, our perspective, but it's left for you as citizens to make research on major actors, stakeholders, institutions, and know them so that you can take informed decisions.
We have another Cameroonian reacting there saying that the votes don't really count. So we are seeing a lot of voter apathy in Cameroonians. This is a question that you and Mr. Franklin Sonnebayen can answer. Cameroonians,
I will first of all,
Cameroonians feel like this is not our thing because we don't trust the electoral process in Cameroon.
It's not about trusting, Mimi. Again, let me come in this aspect because I've been explaining this to Cameroonians every day. The other day, we had a very, very insightful Twitter space, and I like what is happening now because a lot of young people are engaging into the digital spaces, and we're having this conversation. We have a permanent conversation every Wednesday on Twitter with a young group of people, and what we are doing there is that we take each aspect of the electoral process. We can take voter registration, and we'll talk everything concerning voting, from the age to the process to mobility and what happens on election day. And as a young person that has been in the process and has been an actor since 2014 and also led a political party as Secretary General for 5 years, I share my experience, you know. And what I tell people is, you don't need to trust Elekam in order to play your civic and political role. You don't need, it's not about trusting Elekam. Power is a matter of rapport de force. If you don't do it, it plays negatively on you, because those who are even weaker and less competent than you are going to take the power and take decisions and impose them upon you. And you become a consumer of decision, consumer of information, and you are not architect of the process. You become the last person in the echelon of the power process. And you have just to complain all your life. And that complaint will never help. Instead, you need to get engaged, get your card. It is your weapon. Put it in your pocket. At the right time, you play your role. There is nobody who can explain exactly what will happen at the end of October 2025 right now. But we can predict that the more people engage, the more we will have a more favorable result to the side of Cameroonians. But the lesser people engage.
As we are winding up this discussion, a lot of people are here watching, and they are really, really interested in this conversation. We want it to continue, but also we have to put an end to the discussion so that we can prepare for tomorrow's debate as well. But I want to, because you're talking about this year being a pivotal year, I want to also borrow those words from Issa Tchiroma because he said that. But there's something kind of curious about what he also said. He said, for the first time since independence in Cameroon, a presidential election could take place without the candidacy of the current president.
Yeah, because he's inside. He's inside.
The country cannot exist to serve one man. It must live to serve its people. So those were the words of Issa Tchiroma. Do you think that things are
Did Mr. Tchiroma say that?
Yes, he said that in his manifesto, this manifesto that was released, 20-page manifesto that was released yesterday. It's uncertain exactly what he means. He said it could be the first time that the election takes place.
I must apologize. I haven't updated myself.
Yeah, so he was speaking, it's like a probability, but does this mean that things are getting
everybody can observe in Cameroon, people who are keen and looking at how things are happening. You don't expect a 93-year-old person to be really active to say that he wants to go and stand somewhere in front of a crowd of 1,000 people to talk. So the stakes are high, Mimi. They are high. We are dealing with an aged person. We are dealing with an old, 4-decade-old system. We are dealing with someone that in the US summit, he showed clearly that age has taken a toll on him. We are dealing with someone that in 2024, October, November, we were worried whether he will come back home or not. We stayed more than 40 days without seeing him. We are dealing with a political party that have exhausted all their possible means of conserving power and they can't hold it anymore. We are dealing with an election that has brought in a lot of Gen Z into the play. Young people who were 13 years old in 2018 are now 20 years old in 2025. 7 years later, they are eligible to vote. So we are dealing with a lot of new perspectives, a lot of more informed Cameroonians. And the Elekam of today is more strengthened than the Elekam of 2013, 2018. So the factors have changed a lot, and you can't expect things to be the same again. And Tchiroma, being part of the executive arm of the government, attends security meetings, knows and have information sources from the presidency, talks with people. He's in the executive arm. This is the highest arm of the government. So he's well informed. Before taking his decision, he knows the consequences of his decision.
Today he has officially stated that he's resigning, which brings me to this question because Mr. Sonny Bayen explicitly stated that he's been very, very vocal in the past, but we've seen him also change calms when it comes to politics as well. Just to find out from you, Mr. Bayen, Tchiroma being a man of fair weather being described as a fair weather politician, do you see him switching sides to join the winning party on the eve of the election? We don't know yet which party would be the winning party, but do you see him switching sides on the eve of the election? Oh, we also lost him there. So would you want to respond? Yes.
I think that he is a very, very unpredictable politician. Very unpredictable. This kind of person can switch side at any moment, given that he's not ready to bear what happened to him for 6 years between 1984 to 1990 again. So joining the system, eating with the system, having ministerial posts, the benefits, gratuity, salaries for all this long, he might not want to find himself in a place of Marafa or Edgar Lemebengo at his age. Remember some few months ago, I think last year, we heard some news that he was sick and his health was not the best. So I don't think that's where he wants to find himself. So the reading of the political situation may be in the hope of a definitive change, which he will align with a party that will take power, possibly not the CPDM, according to what he might be thinking. But of course, also, one could not rule out the possibility of him going back again if CPDM actually comes to power. But, you know, as I said before, if I have the opportunity to advise him or talk to him, I would just say, please, humbly quit, because it will be too messy, and you might even end up in a very, very rough way if you want to be playing a kind of Lido game where you don't know the number that will make you win the game.
So, Mr. Bayen, would you want to respond to that question? Do you see him switching sides to rally behind the winning party on the eve of the election? All right, so I also just wanted to ask about expectations. We have a lot of comments coming in. I'm not sure we'll be able to respond, but Fabrice Lena will always be here to answer some of the questions. He would go and read so that in our subsequent editions, he can be able to also analyze. I want to thank Mr. Franklin Sonny Bayen. We understand why network connectivity is not the best, because he's joining us from Cameroon. And Mr. Fabrice Lena, a political analyst, you've brought a lot of things into perspective, as well as Sonny Bayen, who's been covering the Anglophone crisis, who he's been covering even Issa Tchiroma Bakari's interviewed him so many times. So he brought a different perspective, made us to understand things from the perspective of a journalist. We also want to thank everyone who's been joining in the comment section, reacting. We can see the enthusiasm in Cameroonian youths, people wanting to be part of the conversation. We also saw someone saying that they want to join the live. That's something that we might try to do in future, but we would also have to prepare our technical team to make sure that it works. And then I saw a funny comment before we get Fabrice Lena's final words, saying that, do you know that Issa Tchiroma Bakari wanted you to be jailed? Of course I was jailed. He didn't just want me to be jailed. He actually really mispronounced my name. He really mispronounced my name. And That's one of the things I will not forgive him for not pronouncing.
You can imagine.
Correctly.
I mean,
then, yes, we are
thank you so much.
Yes, we are all journalists and we want to remain very, very fair, irrespective of who did what, said what. People make accusations, people accuse you, you could also be jailed, but you have to be able to draw that fine line, like Sonny Bayen once was saying, between your job as a journalist and your personal sentiments. And when it comes to the profession, you should be able to know where you stand. You should be able to leave sentiments aside and ask the pertinent questions, the questions that matter, the questions that are also on the minds of Cameroonians. Because right now, as a journalist, I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking on behalf of Cameroonians. Do you have any final words, Mr. Fabrice, before we go?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to appreciate you for this initiative. Your platform is one of the most followed platforms in Cameroon, and taking up this initiative of political education and bringing top and burning news for us to dissect, disseminate, make our contribution. It's already a contribution in the making. I know journalism in our context is very tough and difficult. I see sometimes a lot of bullying and harassment online, people attacking you. I just want to say you have to, I really admire your fortitude. It's not easy. And sometimes it's not easy for you to contain these things mentally, but we are going to someday find a more serene environment where people respect people's opinion and people respect people's job descriptions and also respect their positions and the things they say. So I would say, dear Cameroonian youth, it's our time. We are the people to define the political narrative of our country. And it depends on us for a true change to come. I am putting myself, and I've always been putting myself as that young person upon whom Cameroonian youth could count. And I had always said, when it comes to changing CAM, I will never, ever, ever do that in as much as this system is not wiped away. And I prefer to remain on the side of those fighting for change until we obtain a change. Remain resolute, remain committed, and let's see how to obtain change in the few months to come. If you're not yet registered, do it. And when the time comes, go out to reclaim the results of your engagement.
So, Mr. Sonny Bayen, any final words before we go? Maybe your expectations and just final words, because a lot of people are watching and would want to know what your goodbye message is for tonight.
Go and register to vote.
Yes, so I think we heard him. He said, go and register to vote. That's a strong message. We've also heard that from Fabrice Lena. Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin Sonny Bayen, for joining us tonight. Tomorrow we can do it and even better, maybe earlier as well. Fabrice Lena, thank you for joining us. Thank you for always bringing your perspective. It's very rare to see a politician come whenever you call. You are one of those people that whenever a journalist reaches out to you, you are ready to answer the journalist's call, and access to information, to actors of the civil society, to experts like yourself. It's always very difficult. So thank you for making our job easy for us, because we need people like you to come and comment on things that are happening in Cameroon and even beyond. I also just wanted to thank Mr. Franklin Sonny Bayen. He joined us after just returning from work. It was a lot of sacrifice, and probably will do things better subsequently. Like I said, this is something that is ongoing. We would want to do this every day if possible. If you think that it's a good initiative, if you think you want to see this over and over again, please let me see yes in the comment section, and please also share with some of your followers so that people can join. Follow us on YouTube. I'm going to show you what our YouTube is called. Just a second. So it's Talk with Mimi Mefo. Talk with Mimi Mefo is our YouTube page. We are also on TikTok. We can be part of the conversation also on TikTok. But thank you tonight. Mr. Bayen, you want to say something briefly before we go? So, yes. So, Mr.
Cameroonians should...
Yes, go ahead. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
If you try, you may succeed, you may fail. If you do not try, you have failed already. Anyone who is not going to register because they think that we've seen elections where votes didn't matter has already surrendered, and it's a betrayal. This election is not going to be like any other election in the past 30 years. We've heard people say since independence, this is a defining moment for this country. If you are not part of this process, you will regret it. Because when others will tell the story of how they voted and brought change, you will have nothing to say. And so stay quiet, be forever silent if you don't register to vote.
That's a good one. Or forever remain silent if you don't register to vote. And even just in the beginning, I was just talking to our followers or people who joined that be part of the conversation, be part of the discussion, and don't be too critical. Don't point fingers to say this is a pro CPDM person when you don't have proofs. Don't say this person is saying this because they are supporting BIA, whereas you're not seeing them within the BIA government. People have the rights to their opinions. People have the right to be part of the conversation. Be respectful, especially when you are talking to someone that you've never met, someone who is just giving their opinions about what is happening in Cameroon, because it's not really easy to talk about Cameroon at this point in time. So I really want to appreciate you, Mr. Sonny Bayen. And I also want to appreciate you, Mr. Fabrice Lena. Please, let's do this often. I'm planning to do this like every day. I'm already seeing a lot of thumbs up, people saying yes in the comment section to the discussion. They want it to happen again. I can see Romaric. I can see Eddie saying yes. Michael, I see you. Clara, thank you for joining. And we have Sako as well. Please share so that more Cameroonians can also join the conversation. This is the year 2025. Don't be left behind. Be part of the discussion. Be part of the talk. And we would also like to have young Cameroonians join us. We are going to also share our WhatsApp group or WhatsApp number so that if you really want to join the conversation, we can talk to you in private and then you join in the evening. So this will happen every day, God's willing, and God being my helper. The MMI team would put together this kind of discussions every evening so that Cameroonians can be in the know every day. Thank you, Mr. Sonny Bayen. Thank you, Fabrice Lena, for joining us. And goodbye to you both. Bye. So to our viewers, once again, please follow us on YouTube. The platform is Talk with Mimi Mefo. Talk with Mimi Mefo. We see a lot of people already joining. Before the end of yesterday, we are already having about 500 followers. We want to see that you are interested in the discussions. We want to see that you want to be part of the conversation. Please join because we will be streaming the live often on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And until we meet again, to the 900 people who are still tuned in, goodbye and thank you.